Hello, my name's Evan Sinisak. I am recording this little demo of my 6028 Graphics Project 2 program. Uh, Not a lot. I haven't changed a whole lot from the uh, previous versions of stuff that we've worked on in class, but I have some stuff to go over in main, and I'll quickly go over the main stuff that I've changed, as well as how to change the program to load different scenes and change the lights and stuff like that. Um, so to start, all our global stuff, our draw object, none of that stuff has changed. None of this stuff has changed. Change the name of the window. Make all our GLFW stuff. This is stuff that we've started to do using the map to store the uh, uniform locations of stuff in our shaders, which eventually I'll have to go through. Probably do that in like startup or something. But this is the first thing. This is typically where we would have the light stuff in the main. I have changed that to load all the information from a text file. And then, thank you, email. Good timing. And then we set up the uniform location. Then we set the file path for the VAO manager for the models. And so this is one of the things that we can change, which I'll have to do. To switch which models are loaded, switch which function is being called on line 207 or 208. So I have been building this off of the midterm program that I made and submitted because it had the most up-to-date stuff when we like after the midterm and we started doing stuff in class. This just had the most up-to-date stuff. So instead of I've been having trouble with Git keeping the stuff from class updated, and for some reason like every time I try to pull off of GitHub, it's like, oh, there's something wrong with this program. You're not allowed to. And I've had to re-clone the entire project several times. So I've just been keeping up by adding and modifying my midterm program. But anyways, switch this depending on which one you want to load. Then we just print out how many vertices and triangles get loaded. Then the load world file, which goes through the world file.txt and places all the meshes and everything with their respective textures. Uh, I did not, I kind of realized about an hour ago that I probably should have set up a text file or something to load whatever textures, but I'm just loading every texture that I have or that I could use, since it doesn't seem to take much anyways. And I'm just doing the skybox cube map stuff hard in main as well, rather than in the text in a outside file, which again, forgot I was doing it like this until about an hour ago when I was cleaning up comments, and I'm just leaving it for now. It's small enough that it doesn't affect too much if we have to make a change. Um, But I did learn something interesting, uh, besides the fact that the images need to be square, which was funny to realize. So in class, when we added the cube maps and cube map ratios, we added these if statements to check and add if the ratio was greater than 0. I found that for whatever reason, when I added the third texture, this just works now. It's weird. So I tried to add the Skyrim textures that were I just took screenshots. I realized that when you take screenshots in Skyrim, they're saved as bitmaps, so I thought it'd be funny to use them. But so we had these two if statements, commented it out because we were just using the first two for the tropical sunny day and the space. And when I added the third one for Skyrim, one, it wouldn't load them because they weren't square. I think the error was like GL out of range, GL index out of range or something like that. But then when I added but despite the fact that it wasn't loading, I wasn't getting a black screen when I uncommented this out. So I uncommented both out and it still works. For some reason, the fragment shader just needed something loaded into the third spot, which was interesting. Or no, it's not about this being loaded because I could comment this out. It was when I set this up, adding this in the draw object, actually trying to send something. Even though there's no Skyrim, I'm still setting up this texture for cube map 3, and it doesn't error out, and it doesn't make everything go black. Anyways, I'm rambling a little bit. I'm gonna uncomment this later, and then mesh for the skybox, which gets drawn separately, so it's not on the vector of meshes. I don't think the camera reset stuff works anymore. For some reason, it doesn't point to the origin, despite it working for the first project, but I just haven't gone back through the math to figure out why. And then there's our main loop. Go through. This I'll uncomment later. But here, for the alpha transparency, as we discussed in class, even when things aren't or are partially transparent, the pixels will overwrite or will be, if you draw the pixels before something that isn't transparent, then the stuff in the back doesn't get drawn by the shader. So everything that's not transparent has to get drawn first, and then the transparent stuff gets sorted here based on this number of transparent objects, which is red, which is this number in the world file. And it just goes through, sorts them, switches them around if whichever one is farther, it just bubbles up. And then we go through the vector of meshes and just draw everything. If the current mesh even has a discard texture, then I tried to set this stuff up outside of the main loop, but it just wouldn't work. So like I put everything in here and it worked, but if I tried to move like setting the texture unit and all this stuff up outside of the main loop, just wouldn't. So turn discard texture on, which is here. Set it to true, set it to false after drawing the object. Otherwise, just draw the object. Present, handle everything, shut down, destroy. Load world file. If I can get this. Sure. Bunch of throwaway text at the beginning that describes the format of the file, model name, position, orientation, scale, color, light. Light is whether the object is being affected by light or not. If it is 0, then it is not affected by light. If it's anything else, then it will be affected by light. Texture operator, I will go over when I go through the fragment shader, but it essentially determines how the textures are applied to the object. And then the texture name, the ratio, texture name, ratio, just using 3, and then a discard texture. If there is no discard texture, you write null, and in here, if this says null, then there's no discard texture. Then we grab the camera, X, Y, and Z position, which this is just a good spot for it to always start. And then number of transparent objects. And then we enter the while loop. I like putting an end. I know that this stops running. Screw off. It's just LinkedIn. Why am I getting so many LinkedIn emails? Sorry, my apologies. I know the file going into next token ends when we reach the end of the file. I just like this check for the end, then we know for sure. First thing is the model name, then the XYZ position of the model in world space. Next 3 are the orientation, X, Y, and Z orientations. Then this is just false because it's not really being used anymore, but we still grab the numbers. Most importantly is the alpha for alpha transparency. Light, if the next token is 0, then Boolean don't light is set to true, otherwise it's set to false. Then we grab the texture operator. So the color, RGB, A, light. Come here. Well, that's not what I wanted. Whatever. Color, RGB, A, alpha, light. 1 means it's being lit. 4 is the texture operator, texture name, including the extension, and then the ratio, texture name, ratio, discard texture, null for nothing. I'd like these on here again. So go through it. If there is no texture, then we just throw away the ratio number. Otherwise, we add the texture to the current mesh. We clear all the texture ratios. Before doing this, we go through the 3 textures, then we grab then we check if all 3 texture ratios are 0, then we set the I don't have a texture to 1. Then we have discard texture. Again, if it's not null, then we put it and we say, hey, I've got a discard texture, so that the main loop knows about it. Add the mesh to the vector, close the file, we're done. Load lights file, same place. Again, throw away the description, which is position, diffuse, specular attenuation, direction, param1, param2. I found, for whatever reason, in our light stuff, light 0 just overwrites all other lights, so I just turn it off to be safe. Start at 1, go through until we reach end, or we've gone through more times than the number of lights allowed, because what's the point of continuing reading? I just set up some temporary variables to keep track of this better, so we grab the position, the diffuse color, the specular color, the attenuation levels, the direction levels, or the direction, if there is any. I say if there is any, but if there isn't, then they should just all be 0, but we still have to grab them. Param1 values, which is just all stuff from our light stuff. The mouse callback stuff for the camera, same as other, what's it called? Same as my other project. This literally has not changed. Open bay doors and closed bay doors are for the midterm version of this, which is one of my bookmarks. It's commented out for now. These are all the models used in the midterm, as well as the follow-along stuff that we've been adding. And then these are just the models for this project. Whichever one you call, it just runs through all these. Global things. I added nothing. I was having issues getting the anything for debug, the debug part of the project to work, so I'm just going to tell you now, 17 minutes in, don't have anything. You can just put a 0 there. Sorry. I tried one thing. It did not work, and it made everything very laggy. So, yep. Selected light. I brought this code back in. I never commented out the selected object stuff. It's not being used though. Which for the project stuff, it's the blue spotlight, which we'll see in a moment. Draw object. Only thing I changed was the city and Skyrim, which are just added to the cube map at 0.6 and 0.05 respectively. Otherwise, I think this is, yeah, that's the only change. This is where I tried to do the debug stuff. It was a broken mess. Key callback. Pressing M will switch everything to wireframe, because that's the best I could do for debug and escape. I thought I had something else in here as well. Huh. Where's the input? I know what should be in there that I don't know. Oh, open bay door stuff should be in key callback instead of input handling, but it just keeps setting these if you hold the button, so it's fine. Camera stuff. Again, pressing B switches the debug boolean, but again, doesn't actually change anything. Don't need these. Probably shouldn't have done that because when I build, it'll have to recompile. Title. Add the camera stuff. If why is everything going off when I'm trying to record this? Screw off phone. If shift is down, you can use up and down to change the Y position of the light. If alt is down, I thought that was control. I think this is control, not alt. False, true, true. False, true. Yeah, it is control. This comment is incorrect. Oh, I didn't mean to close that. Yep. If control is down, the arrow keys move the light in Z and X directions. And then the rest is unchanged. Vertex shader has the height map stuff added. It's just not being used. I was thinking I could maybe do something like this with the vertex stuff for the debugging, but I couldn't find anything that, didn't just change the position of the vertex itself. Fragment shader, what did I add? Key map texture stuff is skybox. Discard texture with a boolean, so it only runs it if there's actually a discard texture. Operator, I was going to do as a vector, changed it to just an integer. And I did some fun normal mapping. Since the So from the solution directory under common, the include in library and GLAD and GL files are here, but more importantly are the assets. Inside assets are all the text files for stuff. Under textures, I have the Dark Fantasy Kit textures, which every single one of their textures has a normal map and this SMMetAO bitmap, which I looked up what this meant and got no answers. So I'm not 100% sure what this map is for. I am just adding it to the base color texture map to use it for something. But yeah, I figured out how to use the normal mapping, which was fun, which I will get to in a moment. So B is skybox stuff, same stuff as in class, but am using all four. Black hole discard is commented out. So I kept the black enough discard just to I am using it for the list shipyard thing, which I will show in the midterm version. But for the mod ship from the ship pack, which let's look at it anyways. I realize that this, I guess it's more light blue. Anyways, I figured out the value of it by opening it in Paint and grabbing the RGB. So 153.217.234. Pretty sure that was it. Where is it? Potential discard values. Yeah, 153.217.234. I had some fun with this. So grabbing the RGB values, if we're that teal color, then we discard it. This stuff is all the same. This is where I use the texture operator. If it is 0 or I guess I could have just not done this. I am now realizing. I could just whatever. If it's 0 or if it's a value outside of something I've set, then we just add the textures together. If we're subtraction, we can't start at 0 because then it'll always be black, and the I don't have a texture is almost always going to be 0. So if it's not 0, then just subtract the subsequent textures from it. If the second texture isn't 0, then subtract the third and fourth. But if those two are both 0, check the third one and subtract the fourth one from it. And as long as the fourth one also isn't 0, then do this. Otherwise, yeah, if all 4 are 0, then it's just going to be black. If we are in multiplication, can't multiply if by 0, so check the ratio. If the first one isn't 0, then we set it to that texture and then multiply by the other 3 if they're not 0. And then the same logic, just flowing down, set it to the first one that's not 0, multiply by any others that aren't 0. And then exact same logic for division, just dividing instead of multiplying each texture together. Can't divide by 0, and 0 divided by anything will just be black. So follow the same logic down. And if we are texture operator 4 for the Dark Fantasy kit, we use the normal texture map to change the normals of all the objects. So we set this one line cost me about 3 hours because I wasn't doing it. Everything was black and I was just changing the normal. So we set the texture again, or we set the texture to the first second. First is I don't have a texture, X and 0. So the second texture, which is texture 1 multiplied by Y, is the base color texture. And then this is the SM Met AO texture. Still, again, not sure what the point of it is. I would assume maybe for the specular color or something else. Not 100% sure again. Anyways, this normal color pulls it from here, convert it. This math I just figured out by Googling stuff, which I just realized I didn't. Which one was it? Yeah, this one. I found a few. This was the first one I found. Normalize the normal times 2 minus 1, which is... I just kept trying different things uh, until I realized that I wasn't ever setting a color. I just kept getting black, which makes sense because I didn't have a color. But then we set the out color using the vertex color and the normal, and then everything else is the same. And then early break, because this is all just the same stuff that runs after. And then I didn't change anything else. So really quickly, because I want to end on the other, I'm going to uncomment the open bay doors. I am going to change which models are being loaded. And I am going to make sure that this is updated. I hit copy again by accident. Okay, so what did I just press? Don't save it. I don't know what I pressed. So I'm going to copy the contents of world file midterm updated into the world file. And I am going to copy the lights from midterm updated into my lights file. And I am going to run this. We're going to have to recompile main and the lights. While it does that, I'm going to take a quick drink. I should have put music on. Oh well, too late for that now. Excuse me. Oh, right, I changed. Huh. I guess I forgot to recomment those out after I tried it again. Once more with heart. Yeah, I was trying it in a very dumb way. But I saw something wrong. Didn't load. Oh, right. That's the other thing. Uh, so let me just double check. Nope, this is the wrong folder because it's the originals. Project 2 models is the one you want. I'm going to leave these models unzipped, but if it's too big, this is the first thing that's going to go. This is not updated. All right, good to know. These models were a fun thing to work with. Um, Basically, every single one that says transformed in the title uh, now, like, you can see that it is not fully centered. That's my bad. Actually, I didn't even realize that one was still not off. But basically, every single model was like over here compared to the axes. So I had to go through and change all of them. So let's just do that. Copy everything into it. I will going to zip this up right now, and then gonna delete everything, and we are going to unzip midterm models plus mod bomber, which I don't know why extract here keeps putting them in this folder, but move them up a level, and you can delete that. Now nothing should have to build, runs right away. The list model takes a very long time to draw. But let's go through. Share compiled, okay. Lights file loaded, okay. Load everything. Load all the models. These print from the load world file just to show what models are being drawn. Load world file finished. Load the textures. And sometimes this happens if I click out of it too soon. Load the textures. Okay. Make it full screen. So let me pull out here. So, as I was saying, that should be wall curved here. So we use, all of these are using addition just to add to them, add textures to them rather. And this wall here has no textures set to it. So that is just to show that it has no other textures. It is just getting set the I have no textures. I took out all the lights here. We will be back to you in a moment. But otherwise, there's no lights in here. There is just one giant directional light, kind of lighting everything up in here. I don't remember what you're set to other than brick and floor. I thought it was just addition, but that doesn't look quite right. That should be... Oh, it's in subtraction mode right now. So it is subtracting the red brick texture and the sand texture from the space interior texture. Otherwise, there is no monitor. I wonder what happened to the monitor. Otherwise, this is just these are off. That chair is supposed to be over here, and there's supposed to be a monitor here. Monitor. $26.28. Yep. Did it not load? Let's see. Ceiling light, wall, door, floor, transition wall, curved wall, beaker, or I guess just look over here. Desk vertices, monitor, loaded okay. Everything else loaded okay. Interesting. After all the floor and wall. Huh. Interesting. Fun. All right. It's not a big deal. Well, that's not good. We froze again. Okay. Anyways, main thing I want to show, I have one big directional light. In here, there should be a point light that is providing more light. And if I press P, I have a spotlight that rotates the direction it faces around the room. If I press O, closes the doors and rotates back. To show the, also for the sky map, skybox, uh, still using the textures that we were using in class, so the floor of the tropical sunny day, we can still see the corners because it's rotated the wrong way. But as I said before, uh, I added the city texture map, so now there's just this nice city outline around the outside. Uh, for discard transparency, as we did in class, uh, we're discarding the black from this model, and there's no teal on this model, so nothing else gets discarded. And we can pass right through, there's nothing here. And back towards the beginning of the scene, I should have put that mod ship in the hangar. Maybe that's something we'll do right quick. I have the mod ship in both just to show the discard transparency, but the front where there should be like a little cockpit glass thing, it's teal, just gets deleted. There's also some parts. I remember seeing some parts around the outside, or yeah, here. It's hard to see, but there are some other parts of the ship that get discarded because they're the same color. And if I press space, nope, M. If I press M, everything switches to wireframe. So we can see, nope, there's no cockpit here. There's just this little bit on front that wasn't the right color, so it doesn't get discarded. But if I open up the lights file, first one is the hangar spotlight, so that I know where it is. Then I have two ZXY or ZYX. Apparently I have 2-point lights. Right, I remember. Don't actually remember where this is, but the 2-point lights are just to, one is to provide general light for the whole scene with the directional light at the end. The other one is in the hangar itself, has much smaller range. And then these are the 6 spotlights in the hangar. And then I found a funny little thing. Only one directional light works at a time, so whichever one gets red and loaded first is the only directional light that will show up. So if where's the negative Z? So if I put this, so the directional light we have to light the whole scene has a negative Y direction. So if I put the negative Z direction in front and run the program, I wonder if I forgot to load. No, the monitors. So now the light is facing negative Z, which is this direction. So now these inside walls are a lot darker, but all the other ones are a lot brighter. And we can see, oh, look, the desks do have a yellow color. For the alpha transparency, I forgot to go over this before, but we have these glass beakers, so it makes sense for them to have some transparency. And if I move the camera around, I can see through them. And if I rotate around, you can still see through each of them, and you can see everything behind them. That is that for loop sorting them by distance, combined with the number at the beginning. This 4 tells the program how many transparent objects there are in it. Which makes me wonder if I go here. Nope, there's the monitor. Huh. I wonder why it's not getting drawn then. Interesting. Interesting problems. But more importantly is I want to switch to the scene that I actually made for this project, which means we don't want to have those bay doors anymore. And oh, there it is. Huh. Delete everything. Pull everything out of here, which I already zipped up, so I can delete this now. So if you want to switch between them to see, don't forget to actually change the models as well as the world file. So I'm going to copy world file project 2 into world file, and lights project 2 into lights. We'll run this again. The only thing that should compile is the main, because the buttons will change the Boolean, but then nothing else will happen. So now we're going to open the Dark Fantasy Kit models, which if it won't freak out on me, I'll show the alpha transparency again, but I have 8 different models in this scene that have alpha transparency. So to use the normal mapping, we put operator 4 for texture op, base color for whichever object it is, then the normal map for that object, and then the last thing can be a small value or 0, and this is part of why everything has this greenish tint to it. So draw the floors, draw the walls, draw the bed and wardrobe, which I forgot to change this to operator 4. So if I can make this full screen temporarily, still have this just to show the transparency, and we can change the addition, subtraction stuff just to see it in work. But so as we can see, bookshelf, the floors, which are kind of freaking out a little bit as I move. Interesting. But everything still loads. Everything has these nice textures and colors. I think the normals are a little screwed up. Uh, these crystals, as well as the beakers and those two crystals over there, all have alpha transparency, so this blue one might be a little too high. I can't tell if it's working, but we can see the others through. This one has a transparency of like 0.8, so it's really hard to see through, but you can sort of see the red crystal at that angle. When you're looking through both, you can't really see it at all. There are point lights located inside each of these crystals, which maybe I'll add one to one of those just to show it. And as you can see, the bed and wardrobe do not look nearly as good as the others. They have their textures, but that's about it. So if I hold Control and press down on the keypad, the map or the blue spotlight's way over there now. And yeah, it doesn't look quite right because we're adding the blue normal map to both of these, so they have this weird off color. So I'm just going to change that right now. But if I continue holding Control, press right, down. Now this spotlight is over here. Everything over here is going blue. There's also a red and green spotlight over here. And also the directional light that's lighting up the whole scene right now is facing the negative Z again. So, which just kind of tells me that the normals. Oh, I was holding Shift instead of Control, so that's up and down. So now the spotlight is quite close to the table, and we can see that it's actually going through the table. But if I bring it over to the bookshelf, where the point light messes with it, if I switch back to light and put the negative Y directional light in first. So in playing with this, I discovered that the order of lights does actually matter. The spotlights is 1, I think. It's not helper, it's light manager. Yeah, remember, right? Spotlight is 1. You want to draw spotlights first, then point light, and then the directional light. I found that if I drew the directional light first, it kind of just overwrote the other lights, kind of like how having something in 0 in the light vertex kind of overrode all the other lights. This is almost an hour long. I need to hurry up. But so spotlights first, then point lights. So this is the world point light again, and this is just another one, I guess. Nope, this is another spotlight. Oh, this is the spotlight over the table. That's right. Then this is the general world's point light, and then these are the 2 point lights in the crystals. So if I go down here, these 2 crystals are the ones in the bookshelf. Nope, these 2 are 6 and 1.75, which I found they just need to be slightly off from. So negative 4.1, 0.9. Well, let's just copy this. This is the blue crystal. So there's our position. I want to make it blue. Let's make it blue with a bit of red. Specular. Let's just make the specular slight red, slight green, very much more blue. RGB, RGB, XYZ, RGB, RGB, attenuation. I want to make it similar to the other one, so attenuation 1, 0. Let's make it the same as that one, 0.9, 0.775. Direction doesn't matter. 0 for point light, Y and X don't matter. Turn the light on. And now we have another point light, which should be centered on the blue crystal on the table. And also I changed the directional light, so now everything is much darker and hard to see, but we do have a blue point light kind of centered on. It's a little bit to the left of the blue crystal, but I did change that for the bed, right? Table, chairs, bookshelf, wardrobe, bed. 1, 1, bed, single base color, normal. Huh. Well, like I said, the normals are a little bit messed up because the color's off, but it is much easier to see things when the directional light is in a different direction. And just to show that let's just show that real quick. Mod Bomber. If I take out the discard texture and put null, spin the camera around to face it real quick. Now there is a cockpit that we can see. It's no longer being discarded. In addition, it is currently adding all three textures together, but just to show, I just did red brick wall and list so that we can see it. So 1 should be subtraction. So we should have bright colors minus the brown minus the red brick wall texture. Run it again. And I think my computer is getting unhappy with me. And this video is about an hour long, so I would like to wrap this up. Uh-oh. Please don't crash. Please don't make my computer crash. Okay. Visual Studios seems to be having an aneurysm, as am I about to. Nope, it's my whole computer. Okay, I hope that... Uh-oh. Huh. Well, ain't that a fun thing? Can you? That was fun. That was a fun thing to witness. So yep, now they're being subtracted. So there's really no red left at all because of the red brick wall. So everything's just kind of blue and green. If we switch to multiplication, the reds should be much brighter. And kind of yellow and green with very little to no blue now. And of course I could change the ratios, so maybe I make the list only 0.3 and now we divide it. I haven't tried this yet. I kind of want to put 4 and see what happens when it treats it as a normal map. So now the divide has made it very, very bright, except for where the light don't shine. But mostly green, bit of blue. All the red has basically become white. Just because I mentioned it and I'm curious, and the video is already over an hour long. Let's just see what happens if it treats the mobile shipyard as a normal map. Probably going to be black. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes about sense. And if I go back to add, and let's just put both of these at 0, just to see what the ship is supposed to look like with all its fun colors. There it is. Oh, that's more yellow than red, but yep. So yeah, 0.3, 1 for the brick, why not? So let's quickly go over the marking scheme. Multiple variations between transparent and opaque. With the beakers, that is this number after the RGB, it's the A. So one beaker was at 0.5, one was at 0.8, second was at 0.5, another was at 0.2, which I didn't point out, but you could clearly see that they did have different opacities. And then everything else has 1, so it's fully opaque. Sorted, that's that for loop right here. Go through the last however many objects, so 8 objects, goes through these 8 objects and sorts them. Sorted from back to front, relative camera, discard transparency present, using the black like the oh, I'm too low, that's why. Using the black discard for the list mobile ship and the teal or light blue color for the other ship. Probably should set up their own booleans, but it doesn't run through this if there is no discard texture at all. These 3 models must have a combination of 2 or more textures, different textures. So at the very least for the project ones, it is using a normal map, as well as this other one, which just gets added. And the normal maps and the base color maps are different per object. Trivial combining, that's the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division of just any object, more involved combining, so using well, it says implementing discard transparency, but I went with changing the normal, so using the actual normal map from the asset pack that I bought to change the normals. Lots of lights. Fragment shader is set up to use maximum 14 lights, 13 because we're not using index 0. And again, don't have the debugging and don't have the bonus. So my apologies for it being such a long video. My apologies for the interruptions, notification interruptions, and that fun little Visual Studio break. Apparently I closed that. I am going to clean this up, finish the README, and zip it up and submit it. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.